So this is part one. I can count. This is part one of two of the Raspberry Pi NAS. So what this is it's a 3D printed project, very quickly and sloppily designed in Tinkercad, as you can see from the very uneven wall spacing. And this being uneven here, this was meant to be a little bit thicker, because I'm going to be mounting stuff to this, but I didn't do that properly. But you can see it's just kind of very sloppily designed. But the some parts of it are actually very well designed. Like this here is very precise, because I used the Raspberry Pi model in Tinkercad, and then I didn't include a cutout for the power jack, so I just did that with an X-Acto knife. And the surface finish isn't very good because this was too big to be printed on my printer, so I printed this on a public printer that sucks with surface finish. But that's fine. It's not really an aesthetic print, it's more of a functional one. So this is the top part. You can see the Pi mounts there. There's going to be a power distribution module mounted here. So it's going to be a step-down converter to get 5 volts, because in here I have this multi-voltage power supply that, depending on its mood, will output anywhere from 15 to 20 volts, but there doesn't seem to be any way to select. And when I measured it, it actually outputted 12 volts. So I actually but then when I measured it later, it was outputting 15. So I actually will probably put 2 here, one for 5 volts and one for 12 volts, just to be safe, because I have no idea how this chooses what to output. There were literally only 2 conductors in there, positive and negative, which I wired up to this jack. It's a really questionable power supply. It's made by Rocketfish. It was bought at Best Buy by a family member, for a laptop that was broken, and they gave it to me with the laptop. Anyways, it's a very questionable power supply. So this is the top module. It'll have all the electronics. It'll have the power distribution modules and the Pi, and it has this internal USB port that has been soldered onto the Pi. And the reason the soldering looks so bad is because it's not great soldering, but it actually looks much better than this. There's just hot glue on there, and it looks bad on camera because of the hot glue. There's hot glue on there just to make sure that they don't go anywhere, and there's hot glue here, and tons of hot glue on the charger. So that's this top USB port here, so I'm going to need to 3D print a stopper for that, just for neatness. You can see I'm using the Pi that I broke the corner of the PCB off, because, I don't know, it's in here so no one will ever see it. Eventually I'll solder onto the GPIO for 5 volts for the Pi as well. And this USB color code is not right at all, despite the fact I used the normal USB color code. I didn't bother to see which pin is which, I just went straight through. But the port does work. I have a flash drive plugged in, and I did boot up the Pi and test it. So this is the top panel. I'm going to pause the footage and grab another panel. Okay, this is the bottom panel, which means I'm missing the middle panel still. I just put white paper here because it's a little smoother than the layered 3D printer, and I think it makes the hard drive slide better. I have no idea if it actually does. So this is where the hard drive slides in, and then this goes here, and then these were supposed to be all the way cut out with screw holes through them and whatever to mount this, but it didn't work that way because I drew this out in 2D and it was bad. So I'm probably just going to hot glue this in. This is a USB to SATA with this 12 volt power input here, which has wires hooked up to it, and that's going to get passed through to the top. So these wires come out the back, and there'll be a separate back panel that'll cover the back, because this is, as you can see, probably about an inch shorter than this. Sorry for using Imperial. An inch is 2.54 centimeters for those of you who care. And anyways, yeah, so that's just how this works. This will mount here, and then there'll be a top part that'll, because this is only half the height of a hard drive, so there'll be a top part that sandwiches on top, and then there'll be a back piece. And then I glued magnets here, and I'm probably going to make a front piece, because the hard drive sticks out a couple millimeters so you can grab it. So I'll make a front panel magnet on. So the front panel is the only part that's not designed yet. The rest of this is designed. I mean, it's very sloppy. It's very sloppily designed, as you can see from the lack of mounting points and stuff. But it should all fit together. And there's no, like, official way to connect these. I'm just going to glue them all together. But once it's assembled, it should actually work quite well. Because it should all be contained and neat and easy to replace the hard drive with the magnetic front. So yeah, that's all this is. I'll maybe remember to link to the Tinkercad source, probably not. Part 2 should actually be better, because by part 2 I hope to actually have it assembled and make a more formal video on it. Bye.